All right, so today, Monday, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik of New York began her first full work week as the number 3 member of Republican leadership. It's a big deal, all right? And her rise is a lesson to everyone else in that party about which way the winds are blowing and how to get ahead. Congresswoman Stefanik used to be a self-described bipartisan moderate. She was a kind of establishment figure. But she was also one of the 147 Republicans who voted to overturn the election results, to reject Joe Biden's electors and attempt to create the conditions to install the loser over the winner in violation of the democratic will of the people. And that decision to fully endorse and amplify the big lie was instrumental. It was the but-for cause of her bid to ultimately replace Congresswoman Liz Cheney of Wyoming as Republican conference chair. She did it. Hooray for you. And this is just the way things are. It's an accurate reflection of where the base of the Republican Party is right now. Elise Stefanik read them right. A new CBS News poll found that nearly 70% of the party believes that President Biden did not legitimately win the election. And if there's one thing politicians are good at, it's taking these kinds of cues. It's what they do for a living. And more Republicans are realizing that if they choose to endorse and express the simple and obvious truth, which is that the election was legitimate and Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden, they are likely to find themselves out of a job or in danger of losing theirs. Today, the Republican lieutenant governor of Georgia, not a super famous guy nationally, Jeff Duncan, but he fought Trump's big lie of voter fraud back when Trump was essentially contesting the election there. That young man, well, I don't know how young he is, announced he would not be seeking a second term, citing, quote, better days ahead for our conservative party all across this country. In other words, like, I have clearly hurt my future as a Republican. He more than likely saw the writing on the wall. Now, Trump has already endorsed a candidate to unseat another key Georgia figure, Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, who defied Trump's call to, quote, find enough votes to overturn Georgia's election results. In Ohio, Senator Rob Portman's decision to retire has opened the door for a crowded primary and includes pro-Trump candidate Josh Mandel, who's already lost an attempt at a Senate bid in a previous election. And at an event over the weekend, this is what Mandel said. He said, let me be very clear. This election was stolen from Donald Trump. Opponents in this race won't say those words, but I will. He will. Right? Because he understands the same thing Elise Stefanik does. He understands that doing so is a useful wedge issue and litmus test. It's ammunition to weaponize and wield against other Republicans. And these incentives are so powerful, they can apparently erase someone's memory. Case in point, Congressman Andrew Clyde of Georgia last week declared the insurrectionists were harmless tourists.
There was no insurrection, and to call it an insurrection, in my opinion, is a bold-faced lie. Watching the TV footage of those who entered the Capitol and walked through Statuary Hall showed people in an orderly fashion staying between the stanchions and ropes taking videos and pictures. You know, if you didn't know the TV footage was a video from January the 6th, you would actually think it was a normal tourist visit.
Normal tourist visit. Now, on Friday night, photographer Tom Williams tweeted out a picture that he took, and that clearly shows Congressman Clyde right there, second from the top left with no mask on, helping to barricade the House chamber doors in the middle of the January 6th insurrection. They have pushed furniture against the wall. You don't normally do that, you know, with tourists around. One of the most fraught moments from that day. There's Congressman Clyde, literally on the front lines. When police officers drew their guns. Look at that. To keep rioters, the people he likened to tourists, from breaking through the chamber's doors. Look at him there on the far left, screaming, yelling, okay? When Congressman Ted Lieu of California saw that image, he retweeted it, making sure to call Clyde out by name. Dear Representative Clyde, is that you in the picture? Do you remember? Insurrectionists were trying to stop the election certification. This was not, as you now say, a normal tourist visit. 140 police officers were injured, some severely. You should apologize to law enforcement. And joining me now is Congressman Ted Lieu, Democrat from California. Congressman, what did you think when you saw that picture of Congressman Clyde?
I believe that Congressman Clyde on January 6th would disagree with the Congressman Clyde of today. And it's very clear that you have this massive brainwashing happening within the Republican Party. One of the reasons that we did this impeachment trial was not only to hold the former president accountable, but also make sure that we preserve for the historical record what exactly happened on January 6th, what led up to it, and what happened afterwards. And thank goodness we did that, because you see multiple Republicans now trying to have a totally alternative view of history that they're putting on the American people.
You know, it's striking me, Congressman Clyde served in the Navy for more than 2 decades, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, I remember watching that scene at that door live in real time with a knot in my stomach that someone was going to get hurt or shot or something truly awful. And I think it's, you know, it's commendable under those circumstances to go to where the sort of, you know, the action is, as it were, to try to help out. And it just seems like there's only 2 options here. One is that he has essentially forgotten what he knew, or others that he's just very cynically lying. But neither of them seem, they're both very unnerving in their own way.
Absolutely. George Orwell famously wrote that the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. And now you see multiple members of the Republican Party essentially distorting reality and simply trying to have people forget what happened on January 6th. It's one reason leader Kevin McCarthy does not want to support the January 6th commission. They just want to forget this whole episode because they can't handle the fact that it was former Trump supporters, it was former president's supporters that did this insurrection. These were Republicans that hurt police officers, and it's very damaging to their core beliefs.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.